So what do you do when the person you are caring for is completely ungrateful? No, really, what do you do when the person you are caring for is completely ungrateful? We have been challenged with that a lot more lately than we have in our past. For those of you who are new here, I am Katrina. My father is cognitively declining, middle to advancing in his cognitive decline. My mother and I care for him, and we have my beautiful 13-and-a-half-year-old daughter who lives with us. We are a multi-generational family who's trying to live and thrive to the best of our abilities with cognitive decline. I personally have over 10 years in long-term care experience, and we utilize that every day. It doesn't mean that we have this completely down and mastered. It means that it's a living, breathing experience that is real and not for the faint of heart. But here we like to talk about the challenges we're having. And lately, my beautiful father, who I truly do love, is making life that much more challenging. He has decided that he doesn't have what he likes, what he needs, what he thinks he needs in this moment. He came in the other day and he told me that we need to move to Utah. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Utah. We used to live in Colorado. Utah was our neighbor. We went there frequently. I love Utah. It's so pretty. I even like the people in Utah, would consider moving to Utah. Except the secret is we moved to Florida 3.5 years ago and are still not completely unpacked. I'm not moving anywhere. That was enough. And in that move to Florida, my father literally got his wish list for the property that we bought. It's everything that he has ever desired in a property. He got everything he wanted. And in that moment, that thing rises up inside of you, rose up inside of me and was like, hello, we got you the property that you've been dreaming of for decades. It's a beautiful property. In that moment, that's not what he was really saying. So again, I put on my listening ears. And again, I sat there and tried to get to the root of what we were trying to talk about while still putting that thing inside of me down that wanted to go, I am not moving. Let's make this clear. So I had to put her at bay. And what we got to is my dad is just resisting the idea that he is at the end stage of his life. And even though we are in the middle of this grand adventure of moving 1,800 miles, uprooting everything that my parents have known for the last 36 years, creating a new homestead for our family, it's not good enough because we've done this and now we need to go do it in Utah. And I just sit there and I'm like, this has nothing to do with Florida. It has nothing to do with this property. It has to do with he doesn't want the end of his life to come and this to be his last grand adventure. He wants another one. With all my knowledge that I have on end of life and caring for elders, I see everything that is happening in that moment. And it's really easy to look at it clinically. And it's a completely different animal to look at it from a family emotional side. As the person who facilitates every aspect of our life around here, it's really different in how those two approaches go. Because the family member is like, what the heck? And the clinical side is, okay, what needs do we have that he has that we're not meeting? Are we going out enough? Are we going to church regularly enough? Are we getting him to see his family enough? Because he has sisters that live here in town. And there's all these questions that come up inside of me. And the answer is, we're doing actually a pretty good job when I approach it clinically. And then from that clinical place, I'm like, this really is about him coming to terms with where he is at. And so how can I support him in coming to terms with where he is at? So that night, in the moment, I think I did an okay job. It wasn't my best, but it definitely wasn't my worst. It was a middle of the road kind of evening where I was able to say to him, Dad, I think this is what's happening here. What do you think? And he was able to affirm that, yeah, that is kind of what he wants. He wants not to die. And so in that moment, we sat, and again, we had that conversation of what end of life looks like. And that in this moment, one of the greatest gifts that he can embrace, and that we as caregivers and as family members can embrace, we can embrace every moment. Because the one certain thing we have is this moment. And do I know when he's going to leave me? No. Even when I worked in a long-term care facility, we never knew who the next person was to go. It's the funny thing about life. It's the funny thing about people's spirits, that when somebody is determined not to leave, they tend not to leave. It's this funny thing. Also in that conversation, as I really delved into it, is some really harsh things were said to me, such as that I'm just waiting for him to die. What I told him in that moment was true. But honestly, it was only a half truth. There is this side of me that caregiving is really hard. And at this point in our lives, we can't leave him unattended. He needs 24-hour supervision in one form or another. So either my mother or I are always home, or we get help from outside of our house to make sure that somebody is always home with him. And there is this part of me that when he dies, there will be that relief of, oh my goodness, my mother and my daughter and I can go do something and not worry about grandpa and not arrange for care. But the reality is, in that moment, I'm also going to be sad. There will be relief, but there will be sorrow. And so what I shared with him was the sorrow that we are going to have, because I've already started working through what that will look like. And I'm aware of what that looks like. And so I told him, Dad, the day that you die, I am going to mourn your loss. But I also am going to celebrate. And the celebration is going to be that you are going to be free, and you are going to be with Jesus. And everything that ails you in this moment, you will no longer have any lack. Your brain will be restored. Your hearing will be restored. Your abilities to be normal will be restored. And so I will be rejoicing that you are in heaven and that you are with the Lord, and I will mourn our earthly loss. I left out the part, though, about how there will be relief. He knows it. He knows it somewhere in him, and that didn't serve us in the moment. But if you're a caregiver, just know that that's normal. We all experience it. I offer you this story of the idea of ungratefulness and how it's hard to deal with in caregiving when you are giving your all, with the idea of, again, those tools in your toolbox, checking in with the person, removing yourself from the situation, checking your stuff at the door, and trying to figure out what the root is. And as you sit there and engage with the person, offering them as much love, grace, and mercy as you possibly can. And then hopefully you have the ability to also sit there and help them understand what their life has been and what we can embrace in this moment. And in this moment, what we can embrace fully is this moment. And then try to figure out how you can honor that person you're caring for to the best of your abilities, to what that day offers, where they're at, where you're at, what your time frame looks at, and try to meet at least one of their simple pleasures. And a simple pleasure is those little things. Those little things that, like in my life, it would be my tea. I must get my tea every day, and that is my simple pleasure. And if I was in a care facility, I would still need to have that for me to be the person that I am. Or I have an obsession with eyebrows. I don't wear makeup anymore, but I want my eyebrows brushed. And I've told my daughter, if I ever lose my cognition and I don't know what to do, please make sure that my eyebrows are brushed every day. It's those little things. So know the person that you are caring for, figure out what their simple pleasure is, and meet their simple pleasure. It doesn't have to be the big things. It can be the little things. I pray that this video has met you where you are at today, that it has filled your cup, and that by being here, you are able to go out into the world and that you are able to overflow. And by us all going out into the world and overflowing, the reality is that we can change the world. Now let's go change the world. Have a beautiful day.